and Govinda. Okay, so I guess we can chant for a few minutes. Okay, welcome. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Vishnu Namaste Saraswati Deva Guru Vani Pucharine Vishesha Sunivani Paskadya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasari Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Hare Krishna. All my obeisances to Gurudev, if you're listening, and welcome to all the Vaishnavas who are tuning in to the class today. Srimad Bhagavatam. Let me see if I can find first my opening blessings in my message to myself. Hold on a second. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, and unto Nara Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesh Abhadresyu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyutama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Vayam tuna vitripyama utama shloka vikrame yatrini vatam rasajnanam svadu svadu pade pade. We never tire of hearing the transcendental pastimes of the personality of Godhead, who is glorified by hymns and prayers. Those who have developed a taste for transcendental relationships with him relish hearing of his pastimes at every moment. Okay, so here we are again. Welcome. I think we're on text 9. Let me open and find our spot. Yes, Canto 2, Chapter 3, Text 9. Rajya kamo manum devan niritim tiv abhikaram yajet. Kama kamo yajet somam akama purusham param. One who desires domination over a kingdom or an empire should worship the Manus. One who desires victory over an enemy should worship the demons. And one who desires sense gratification should worship the moon. But one who desires nothing of material enjoyment should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we'll go ahead and read the purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. For a liberated person, all of the enjoyments listed above are considered to be absolutely useless. Only those who are conditioned by the material modes of external energy are captivated by different types of material enjoyment. In other words, the transcendentalist has no material desires to be fulfilled, whereas the materialist has all types of desires to be fulfilled. The Lord, who has proclaimed that the materialists who desire material enjoyment and thus seek the favor of different demigods, as above mentioned, are not in control of their senses, and so give themselves to nonsense. One should therefore not desire any sort of material enjoyment, being sensible enough to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The leaders of nonsensical persons are still more nonsensical, because they preach openly and foolishly that one can worship any form of demigod and get the same result. This sort of preaching is not only against the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita or those of the Srimad Bhagavatam, but is also foolish, just as it is foolish to claim that with the purchase of any travel ticket one may reach the same destination. No one can reach Bombay from Delhi by purchasing a ticket for Baroda. It is clearly defined herein that persons impregnated with different desires have different modes of worship, but one who has no desire for material enjoyment should worship the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, the Personality of Godhead. And this worshiping process is called devotional service. Pure devotional service means service to the Lord without any tinge of material desires, including desire for fruitive activity and empiric speculation. For fulfillment of material desires, one may worship the Supreme Lord, but the result of such worship is different, as will be explained in the next verse. Generally, the Lord does not fulfill anyone's material desires for sense enjoyment, but he awards such benedictions to worshippers of the Lord, for they ultimately come to the point of not desiring material enjoyment. The conclusion is that one must minimize the desires for material enjoyment, and for this one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is described here as Param, or beyond anything material. Sripada Sankaracharya has also stated Narayana Paro Vyaktat, the Supreme Lord is beyond the material encirclement. So to repeat the text 9, one who desires domination over a kingdom or an empire should worship the Manus. One who desires victory over an enemy should worship the demons, and one who desires sense gratification should worship the moon. But one who desires nothing of material enjoyment should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Very, very nice. The first thing that Srila Prabhupada points out, of course, is that all of these preliminary things that we do are even unnecessary, because we could just jump right ahead. If we leave the material world behind, we could just jump right ahead into worshiping of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And of course, so it brings us back. Well, he's told us all of these different ways, and told us that the most interesting one is being that one who desires victory over an enemy should worship the demons. Huh. Let's try to specifically understand what that might mean. Because if there is a war, then there's always an enemy, but one who wants to win should worship the demons, but yet we worship God and we win. So that's a very interesting point to bring up, perhaps in a question, what is really meant by that. And to worship the moon for sense gratification. But the main point is that all of those things, the sense gratification things, have got to be left behind. So everything up until this point is like, not that it's useless, but because we gain something from knowing about it, right? But then we're told, well, now in this day and age, you do very direct. You do a very direct thing. You just chant rounds and follow regulative principles, and you get back to Godhead. So yeah. So let me see. I had another point, but I'm going to hold it a minute, because I'd like to see if either of you have something to add. Govinda?
Yes, yeah, thank you for sharing your points. I thought it was also interesting that they're talking about that Shukadeva Goswami is speaking about worshiping demons. If you want victory over an enemy, to worship demons. I don't think I'd ever heard that before. I know in the Bhagavad Gita it talks about different modes of worship in different modes of nature. And I think it says for the mode of ignorance, for people in the mode of ignorance, they worship ghosts. But I don't think Krishna says anything about demons in the Bhagavad Gita. So it's always nice to see the elaboration of Bhagavad Gita in Srimad Bhagavatam, because we have Bhagavad Gita gives us the base, and then once we read in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's covering more. It's going in depth. It's going more in depth with what we learn in the Bhagavad Gita. So that's always nice to make that connection and see how we're gaining more knowledge here and getting more understanding about what it is that we're practicing. So that point stood out to me too. And as Srila Prabhupada is always reminding us constantly about material desires or material goals, how in the grand scheme they really don't serve us, because if we're spirit souls, then really we don't have anything to do with the material nature. But because of our own desire and our own heart, we're wanting these material things. And so he gives us, Srila Prabhupada is giving us, and Shukadeva Goswami is giving us the process to gradually uh, leave our material desires behind, so that we can gradually attain the pure devotional service that Srila Prabhupada is talking about. That there was a question that was coming up with let's see, where is it, in the purport, where Srila Prabhupada was talking about worshiping. Oh yeah, that that one who has no desire for material enjoyment should worship the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. And this worshiping process is called devotional service. So it made me think of my own personal situation where I don't feel that, where I no, I know that I have material, there is desire for material enjoyment for me personally. And I'm sure that if we just speak to devotees, they still have tinges of this, tinges of that. Um, and so we can't really say that, or I can't really say that I'm doing pure devotional service, because there's still these tinges. Prabhupada says pure devotional service means service to the Lord without any tinge of material desires. And so there's still these tinges personally. But that's the beauty about what it is that we're practicing, that even though we might have these material desires born of just ignorance and just past past lives, and how strong material nature is, and how strong this material lust is, that it's so difficult to overcome. It's so difficult to really turn ourselves completely to Krishna, and only want to serve Krishna and please Krishna. But he's still giving us a process where we can gradually be working our way towards that we can still be practicing devotional service, even if it's not pure. It's not one or the other. It's not that if you have some kind of material desire, you can't chant Hare Krishna, you can't practice devotional service, you're just forbidden from doing that. That's not the case at all. Even if you do have these things, you can practice devotional service, and you should, um that we really need that. We really need that service in order to start letting go of our attachments. And it takes time. It takes continued um, consistency and determination for us to continue on. That brought up the point about regulation, and how regulating our lives. Srila Prabhupada has given us the base that we we chant. If we're seeking initiation, we chant 16 rounds of japa of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and we follow the four regulative principles. If we're not at that stage yet, then just chanting in general, as long as we can chant one round or one Hare Krishna a day, and then gradually build up from there. But the point being that we're finding something, like some way to regulate our life in a spiritual way, that we're following a spiritual principle, which could be that I'm going to chant one round of japa every day, or I'm going to let go of intoxicants every day. And every day I'm making a vow to let go of intoxicants. And then that's regulating our life. And as we're regulating our life, that's helping calm our mind down. And if our mind is a little calmer, then it's easier to focus in on the spiritual side of things. But if we have, like we're talking about here, if we have all these material desires and our life is not so regulated at all, like if there's no regulation at all, which is most people, we don't really have a lot of regulation in our lives, then it's difficult to try to practice something spiritual, because our mind's going to pull us here, the senses are going to pull us there, and there's no kind of direction there. It's kind of like a child that doesn't have a parent, that they're just going to go everywhere. But if they have parents that are disciplining them, loving them, just kind of guiding them, then the child is going to be making the right choices. And so our mind is similar in that way, that if we just leave our mind to do everything, do anything that it wants, then we can't pull it. When it comes time to focus, it comes times to concentrate, we can't, because our mind is going everywhere. So we just find, gradually we find one thing that we can consistently do every day that's regulating our life, and then gradually we build on that however we can, and this is going to help us in our spiritual life. So these are the points that came to mind, that I was reflecting on while we were reading this.
Thank you. How about you, Baktovich? Do you have any comments about what we're talking about or this text?
Um, I'm a little tired. I remember what I was reading while we were reading it, but I don't remember much. I just remember that we don't go to Krishna for material things. I'll say personally on my behalf that I still have material desires, and I still want to have a mansion and expensive cars. But devotee here told me it's okay if you still have material desires. Just go ahead and keep chanting. So it's interesting to me because like my tendency is to say to myself, okay, don't have any material desires. Just don't have them. But I think that's just like, what do you call it, artificial renunciation or something. So I try to remember that, okay, yes, I still have these strong material desires, but keep chanting and coming to Zoom meetings and reading, hearing, and maybe hopefully they'll go away. But I just thought it was interesting because honestly, I do think about going to the different demigods for opulence and riches, but I'd like to be able to keep going forward with bhakti, and then not having those material desires anymore, because I deep down inside I do want to get rid of those desires. It's just really hard for me.
Yes, I can understand that. But I want to bring up one point that Prabhupada made in the purport again. Generally, the Lord does not fulfill anyone's material desires for sense enjoyment, but he awards such benedictions to worshippers of the Lord, for they ultimately come to the point of not desiring material enjoyment. So, in other words, Krishna may grant your material desires. He does that in an effort to bring you back to him, for you to be able to leave your material desires. While you're on the path, he may grant them to you, kind of to encourage you on your way. So
Yeah,
remember that.
thanks. I kind of heard that a long time ago, I think, but thanks for reminding me of that, Yamuna.
Yes, because after all, we all have to somehow get into the mode of goodness before we can go back to Godhead, and this is part of the process of the mode of getting to the mode of goodness. I imagine. Any comments,
Oh, who knows, you
Govinda?
might see baptism there. Some Krishna, Krishna gives you millions of dollars, who knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I still have that desire,
And then maybe you
honestly.
open a center. You open the perfect center where you live, the perfect Hare Krishna center. With
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Who knows?
yeah. Well,
yeah,
we have the nice example of Dhruva Maharaj, who had that. He wanted basically a similar thing. He wanted a kingdom. He wanted, I mean, you're talking about a mansion. Well, Dhruva Maharaj wanted a huge mansion, I guess you could say. So, and he was going to Krishna for that, and Krishna gave it to him. But then he said, but then having that, then once he saw Krishna, or Lord Vishnu, then he felt like he didn't even want those things anymore. And so
hmm
sometimes sometimes we have to really, really want something it could be something really materially, we really, really want this material thing, and then we get it, and when we see that we really actually don't really we want this that much, or this wasn't really what I thought it was going to be. It wasn't really worth all that trouble. But sometimes we
Yeah.
have to go through that for us to
Yes,
kind of
we
get
always
over
go
it.
through that. We
Yeah.
always go through that. Excuse me for interrupting, but we go through that with everything because everything in this life we thought we wanted it so much, and then after we have it, we realize that it's worthless in the long run. Especially when you get older and you're looking back on all of those things that you have acquired, everything around you, and how important it seemed to be at the time.
Yeah. And that's like our good fortune right there, because at least by us continuing to come to the Zoom class and reading and chanting, that it's like we're getting diverted. We might be getting diverted into these different things, but Krishna is always there in the background. Like we always know that Krishna is there in one shape or other. Or after we get this material thing, then we think, oh Krishna, right? Why did I want this thing? But we know that at least Krishna is at least in the picture. He's always, if we just continue chanting, continue reading, then Krishna is always going to be in the picture while we have these material desires and they get fulfilled. And but on the other hand, if you think of people that are not devotees, I think of extreme examples like billionaires, who we have these billionaires who they don't know Krishna, they don't know what role God plays in their life. And so they get this, say they get this mega yacht. They've been hankering for this mega yacht that's just gonna make them so happy and so fulfilled in life. So they're working to get this mega yacht. And then they buy the yacht. And then after, a day or who knows how long, it's like, what this I don't even this doesn't do anything for me. So now I need this now I need to buy even bigger yachts. So a person who doesn't know Krishna, they don't have that kind of shelter. They don't have that support. So they just go from one material thing to another material thing, and and Krishna is never in the picture. So that's really how fortunate we are, that we might be experiencing the same thing as someone else. Well, we are experiencing the same thing, but Krishna is always in the picture there. He's always just kind of nudging our shoulder, just tapping us on the shoulder that you know that these material things, they're not really gonna satisfy you. But he's just very patient with us, and we have to go through it. We have to go from one thing to another thing, or it could be the same thing. We're desiring the same thing again and again and again and again. And Krishna is there waiting for us. Hare Krishna Bhakta Fabian.
Very good. I think now that Bhakta Fabian has joined us, and Hare Krishna, I think we should
Krishna.
go on to text 10 instead of trying to continue text 9. Okay, Govinda?
Oh,
You,
Okay.
so,
You want me to read?
okay. Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, so Bhakta Fabian, we're
So,
on Canto 2, Chapter 3, Text 10.
text then. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Akama sarva kamova moksha kama uddaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Translation. A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of all material desire, without any material desire, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the personality of Godhead. Purport.
that's the supreme whole, the personality of Godhead.
Supreme Whole.
Yes.
Okay.
May I
Now,
suggest sharing the reading of the purport? Maybe you read the first paragraph and then let Govinda take over so
okay.
that we
Yeah.
can go through faster, clear. Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, thank you. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, is described in the Bhagavad Gita as Purushottama, or the supreme personality. Okay?
Oh, okay. Thank you for reading. It is he only who can award liberation to the impersonalists by absorbing such aspirants in the Brahmajyoti, the bodily rays of the Lord. The Brahmajyoti is not separate from the Lord, as the glowing sun ray is not independent of the sun disk. Therefore, one who desires to merge into the supreme impersonal Brahmajyoti must also worship the Lord by Bhakti Yoga, as recommended here in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhakti Yoga is especially stressed here as the means of all perfection. In the previous chapters, it has been stated that Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal of both Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. And in the same way, in this chapter, it is emphatically declared that Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal of the different varieties of worship of the different demigods. Bhakti Yoga, thus being the supreme means of self-realization, is recommended here. Everyone must therefore seriously take up the methods of Bhakti Yoga, even though one aspires for material enjoyment or liberation from material bondage. Kamaha is one who has no material desire. A living being, naturally being the part and parcel of the supreme whole, Purusham Purnam, has as his natural function to serve the supreme being. Just as the parts and parcels of the body, or the limbs of the body, are naturally meant to serve the complete whole, or complete body. Desireless means, therefore, not to be inert like the stone, but to be conscious of one's actual position, and thus desire satisfaction only from the Supreme Lord. Srila Jiva Goswami has explained this desirelessness as Bhajaniya Parama Purusha Sukha Matra Sva Sukhatvam in his Sandarbha. This means that one should feel happy only by experiencing the happiness of the Supreme Lord. This intuition of the living being is sometimes manifested even during the conditioned stage of a living being in the material world. And such intuition is expressed in the manner of altruism, philanthropy, socialism, communism, etc. But the undeveloped minds of less intelligent, by the undeveloped minds of less intelligent persons. In the mundane field, such an outlook of doing good to others in the form of society, community, family, country, or humanity is a partial manifestation of the same original feeling in which a pure living entity feels happiness by the happiness of the Supreme Lord. Such superb feelings were exhibited by the damsels of Rajabhumi for the happiness of the Lord. The gopis loved the Lord without any return, and this is the perfect exhibition of the Kamaha spirit. Kama spirit, or the desire for one's own satisfaction, is fully exhibited in the material world, whereas the spirit of Kamaha is fully exhibited in the spiritual world. Thoughts of becoming one with the Lord or being merged in the Brahmajyoti can also be exhibitions of Kama spirit if they are desires for one's own satisfaction, to be free from the material miseries. A pure devotee does not want liberation so that he may be relieved from the miseries of life. Even without so-called liberation, a pure devotee is aspirant for the satisfaction of the Lord. Influenced by the Kama spirit, Arjuna declined to fight in the Kurukshetra battlefield because he wanted to save his relatives for his own satisfaction. But being a pure devotee, he agreed to fight on the instruction of the Lord because he came to his senses and realized that satisfaction of the Lord at the cost of his own satisfaction was his prime duty. Thus, he became Akama. That is the perfect stage of a perfect living being. Udara Dihi means one who has a broader outlook. People with desires for material enjoyment worship small demigods and such intelligence is condemned in the Bhagavad Gita 7.20 as Pita Jnana, the intelligence of one who has lost his senses. One cannot obtain any result from demigods without getting sanction from the Supreme Lord. Therefore, a person with a broader outlook can see that the ultimate authority is the Lord, even for material benefits. Under the circumstances, one with a broader outlook, even with the desire for material enjoyment or for liberation, should take to the worship of the Lord directly. And everyone, whether in akama or sakama or moksha kama, should worship the Lord with great expedience. This implies that bhakti yoga may be perfectly administered without any mixture of karma and jnana, as the unmixed sun ray is very forceful and is therefore called tivra. Similarly, unmixed bhakti yoga of hearing, chanting, etc. may be performed by one and all, regardless of inner motive.
Thank you. Bhakta
Thank you.
Fabian, would you repeat the translation? Bhakta Fabian, repeat the translation, because then you
Okay.
can be the first to speak, okay?
Okay. A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of all material desire, without any material desire, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme World, the personality of Godhead. Okay. In this verse, there are many parts which say that we have to do the things for the Lord, to give happy to the Lord for our happiness. Yes, because we are all the jivas are all parts of God, Krishna. So, as the hand can't eat something, so can't be happy alone, but the hand have to give the food at the mouth for the for the worship of all body. So, as all the jivas have to give pleasure to God, to Krishna, for our happiness. Yes. There are different types of liberation, and different desires. But if we want to obtain the final liberation from the material world, where there are many sufferings, and at every step we can die. We don't know when is the time. Where is the time when we will die, or because in the material world there are many sinful and many occasions to go in Maya, because we are in Maya, in the world of Maya. So there are the possibility of return to Godhead, but it's very complicated, because Krishna says that we can return to the spiritual world, but Maya is very difficult to win Maya, against
Overcome.
Maya. Yes, because it's very, very powerful. But if we serve the devotee, the spiritual master, and God, the and the science, yes, we can have the possibility to return very, very fast to Krishna and to stay in the spiritual world, serving Krishna and the jiva that are liberated or eternally liberated. As the trio of trees of desires, the gopi, the gopa, the surabhi, the kausa, yes, and flowers and many, many body, spiritual body that are in the spiritual world. We can all be with spiritual, many spiritual desires or material desires. But in every case, the best thing to do is to serve God. Or if one want, he can serve the devas, but knowing that the devas are under the control of Krishna. Because if one serves many gods or one god, like Ganesh, Shiva, or Parvati or other deities, but he hasn't the knowledge, the spiritual knowledge that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead that we have to serve, to have happiness, spiritual happiness, and bliss, and to reach the perfect purpose of life. He or she, the devotee of the gods, can't win Maya. So he or she, the devotee of the devas, have to reborn in the material world in a family rich that has the possibility to worship Krishna like the Vaishnava family. But if we don't are poor, in the purport of this verse, there's written that the gopi are worship Krishna without any desire of self happiness, of her happiness, but they simply served Krishna with no any with no intention to be happy for herself, but to give happiness to Krishna, God, the supreme personality of Godhead. That's important because this way of serving Krishna, like the gopi do, is the more pure. It's best in every way to please God, Krishna. So, in this verse, there's written that the ultimate goal of life can be achieved with karma yoga and jnana yoga, but the bhakti yoga is the more perfect way. She has to practice the bhakti yoga. Give to us the possibility to reach the ultimate goal of life, the perfection of the spiritual research. Yes. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. I I will just make a very short comment before I pass to Govinda and back to Rich. I just find very interesting this this concept that, you know, along the path, you know, could be that one worships demigods, right? But at the end, forget about it because just worship Krishna and Krishna takes care. But here, he even says people with desires for material enjoyment worship small demigods, and such intelligence is condemned in the Bhagavad Gita as, you know, the intelligence of one who has lost his senses. So I don't know. Are we gaining? You know, are we getting closer through doing those, or are we just, you know, crazy for worshiping demigods? Because hey, just worship Krishna, and you know. So you know, are we? I hope we're not insulting other people. I mean, you know, everybody will get to where it is that they're going to get, you know, and we don't have to tell, you know, everybody that they, you know, they have to go back to Godhead in this lifetime. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there before I open it up for comments from Govinda and back to Rich.
Oh, could you repeat that last part that you said?
Uh, the last part of what I was saying, the point of you know, how it's like looked down upon here. It says it's looked down upon. Like first we're told it can be part of the process, and then it's like it's looked down upon. And I hope that means, you know, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't respect, you know, other people who are worshiping the demigods, or you know, that they'll get to it where it is they're going to get, and maybe that's okay. We can't insist that they have to go back to Godhead in this lifetime, you know. But you know, so it's kind of funny because on one hand we're told that it can be part of the process, or it has been part of the process in the past, and on the other hand we're told about, you know, this is, you know, stupidity, you know, you know, now in this, you know. Oh, excuse me. So moving on to Govinda.
Well, I guess with that point specifically, my understanding is that it's just to, um, it's always, I mean, the acharyas are always in the mood of encouraging us to go beyond, go to the next, you know, don't get stuck there, because if they were to just tell us that it's fine, we'll just worship the demigods, like you can just worship the demigods, it's okay, then we could have it in our mind that's the end, that we don't have to do anything beyond that, that we can just continue worshiping the demigods, and we'll get to Krishna. Like we'll just worship the demigods and we'll get to Krishna. But if they but they don't do that, because if we can get stuck basically. We will get stuck in demigod worship without the understanding that that there's something that beyond the demigod is Krishna, that Krishna is giving it, that Krishna is ultimately giving the power to these demigods to even grant your desires. So there, I guess our acharyas just give us the extension. They give us the full picture, and in the full context of things, it doesn't. If the ultimate perfection of life in general is just going back to the spiritual world, then it doesn't make sense to just to worship the demigods, because the demigods directly can't take you back to Krishna. It's Krishna who brings you back to him. So that's my understanding. It's not. And truly, Prabhupada always emphasized respect, and so being respectful to everyone, being respectful to the demigods. And so I would think that if he emphasized being respectful to the demigods, that would extend too to the worshippers, the devotees of the demigods too, to be respectful to them as well. And then just going back to Bhakta Fabien's point too about, I appreciate the reminder about the just material world. You know how Bhakta Fabien, you mentioned that there's danger, like Srila Prabhupada says, there's danger at every step in the material world. We don't know when we're gonna leave our bodies. We don't know when we're gonna be in an accident or anything like that. So that understanding being there, that yeah, our time is limited here, and so, and like you mentioned too, that the perfection of what we're practicing here is the gopis of Vrindavan, that they hold the mood, like what Prabhupada said, they hold the mood of what it means to what it means. Let me see. I don't want to butcher what he said. He put it in. What is it? Oh, yeah. Such superb feelings were exhibited by the damsels of Vrajabhumi for the happiness of the Lord. The gopis loved the Lord without any return, and this is the perfect exhibition of the Akama spirit. So loving Krishna without wanting anything in return, following following the examples of the gopis. And then that made me think about how, I think it's Srila Prabhupada, I'm pretty sure how he says that us within ISKCON, we're followers of Rupa Goswami, or Srila Rupa Goswami. So we're Rupa Nugas. And Rupa Goswami is a Manjari in the spiritual world. He's if I understand it right, a Manjari is a gopi, but just a younger gopi, a young gopi. So by us following the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, he's following the instructions of Srila Rupa Goswami from the parampara. So what we're following is that mood. We're following the teachings of a Manjari, of a gopi. And there's a I mean, just saying it now, saying it out loud, there's a big depth to that I don't I'm not fully realizing that it's way beyond what I'm my level of realization. But it just made me bringing up how the gopis love Krishna without any return, and we follow their example. It just made me think about that Srila Prabhupada says we follow Rupa Goswami. So that was the only other thing that I wanted to add to it. I mean, there's so much here that Srila Prabhupada said, but if anyone else wanted to add anything as well.
Bhakta Rich. Oh, he's left us.
Yeah.
Bhakta left when it was his turn. So if you have anything more to add, now is the moment. Yes.
I mean, and just to conclude, we really feel that Krishna's ultimate mood and the mood of his devotees is always one of encouragement. He's never trying to make us feel guilty or make us feel down about our situation in life or our desires. Krishna's never trying to point the finger at us or anything like that. And his devotees aren't in that mood either of making us feel bad. And so if that's not Krishna's mood, then if his mood is about encouraging, which like in this translation, it tells us a person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of material desire, without any material desire, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the supreme personality of Godhead. What's more encouraging than that? basically Shukadeva Goswami is telling us that this bhakti process is all encompassing, it's all inclusive. You can be full of material desires, you can want everything, but still just go to Krishna, just worship Krishna. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter what you're wanting. It doesn't matter whether someone wants all material things or mm, or no material things. We all still go to Krishna, and so yeah, well, that's so encouraging for us. So encouraging, and just kind of understanding Krishna's mood in that way. Sometimes we can get down on ourselves, like really down on ourselves, and just remembering this is why it's nice to read that. Just remembering that that's not Krishna's mood to put us in to make us feel so like depressed or really low in that kind of sense. I know Guru Maharaj has expressed that a little depressed is okay, to feel a little sad. Sometimes that's normal. It's actually healthy to feel a little sad, because if we have that little bit of, I mean, not overly depressed or anything, but just a little bit of sadness can lead to change. Because if we don't feel bad for what we're doing, or if we don't feel any kind of remorse for decisions that we make that aren't so beneficial to us, then we won't change. There won't be any change. But if we do feel some level of remorse, some level of like regret or anything like that, then that's nudging us in the other direction. And Krishna is there with open arms. He's just waiting for us. He's just saying, just continue the process, continue chanting, continue hearing, continue reading, asking questions, and gradually, and then eventually you will come to me. All these problems that you are experiencing, that right now they feel so huge, all these huge problems, through time they get small, with the proper context. We see that these big issues that we're having, that they weren't so difficult to overcome. They weren't so difficult to overcome. But so that's it. Yeah, that's all I wanted to add to. This Krishna's
Okay,
encouraging
well,
everything.
this is the last opportunity for Bhakta Fabian to speak on this verse. If there anything else you want to add, because then we will close and invite Guru Dev. He wants me to send him a message when we're ready for the other part of our session. Okay?
Yes, and another thing that to say is that all the jiva in the spiritual, in the material world can do austerity, give money to the poor persons, etc. But all those activity are partial manifestation of the pure activity that are done in the spiritual world. To give happiness to Krishna. So, if all these people that do good things for the society or the people, if these activities are directed to Krishna or to the devotees, they can give to them good things to returning. Like money, riches, or happiness, even if they are given by the devas. Yes, because Krishna sees in our hearts, and like the Paramatma or by the devas, that we are doing good things for the other, but at doing those activities for him, thinking to him the happiness of the other can be the happiness of Krishna too. Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Yes, I
Yes.
stop here. Thank you.
Yes, we finished with text 10. I think we can finish class now. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Please accept the humble obeisances of all of us. Glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Shri Guru Maharaj, please accept my respectful obeisances.